What's up, guys? This second episode of Twisted Toast is coming your way, and I was hoping to be like way more even fucked up than last week, but unfortunately, some asshole had to fucking shoot a guy in Utah, and so I think we're gonna start there
I was wondering
because
if we are going to talk about that.
we have to. I got to go even with your wisdom, which that's why Miss welcome my guest host, my co-host, not my guest host, my guest and co-host, Miss Toast is with us.
My ghost.
I want to get your take, because my first initial take immediately was don't believe the truth, cover up. There's two dudes in our industry that I think are really smart about that stuff, which is Matt Loop and Billy DeMoss. Like, and you can
I think you're talking two different ends of the spectrum there.
but yeah, right. But still understand the conspiracy theories and stuff like that better than anyone. What was your initial reaction, and where have you landed after this weekend?
Gut punch, devastation, sadness, disbelief. Just I feel like all the things. I feel like anything anybody else felt, I probably felt too. Like I was shocked, angered. What about you?
All of that in one, and my first initial, obviously, and it's coming back to, it's kind of circling back where it went from the horrendousness and you want to put blame on someone, the amount of infighting, and I got to share something. First of all, I'll share deeper later. My wife's already pissed at me about this show.
I saw her post.
Yeah, so she's already done with me and over it. Even though I prepped her, I played Howard Stern's Private Parts movie before. I said, this is what you're going to go through. I go, just don't listen, don't watch. And she's like, you're making me look like a little bitch talking about all your ex-girlfriends.
My husband just stops talking when I ask him about it.
He's just, so anyways, my wife comes from a very liberal family, and never, as Roger Stone taught me, and many people know I've worked with Roger Stone over the years, you can't move people from left to right. You can only move them from left to undecided. So the interesting thing is seeing her shift, and her shift has not only happened with becoming conservative, but let me just share with you why she's become conservative too. It's the Charles Barkley conundrum, because Charles Barkley became a conservative when he became fucking rich too. So there's a point where you become, because there's a dumbness to libertardness and there's a poorness to libertardness, right? And that's my opinion. Now, it's interesting watching her fight with her other side of her family now, who is still in that spectrum. And I think that for Kat, it also parallels into her relationship with Jesus and Christianity, which is happening. And another thing that I didn't make go from left to right, but I let her be undecided on. So this is really interesting times, but I'll leave it at this, and then I'm going to kick it back over to you. I am getting a little bit pissed off and sick of the righteousness on both sides, because now I'm seeing motherfuckers go on the conservative side being like, getting people fight. Like, look, it's not couth. It's not classy, people celebrating someone dying, but it is still fucking freedom of speech. And that's the thing that I worry about, is that we start turning into Nazis ourselves for real by making lists and checking them twice. And being like, look, the reality is that we're going to have differences of opinion. And let me say something. If a certain motherfucker who stared at my dick in San Francisco while we were snorting coke together, anyone can figure this out, who looks like a sleazeball, although women apparently are attracted to him, even though I think he's a piece of shit. A certain governor from California was to get shot or murdered. I don't know if I wouldn't be celebrating and posting around, because in my opinion, I think that's the death of America coming. If AOC got something happen, now I probably wouldn't do it publicly. I probably wouldn't do it social media wise, but between my friends, I'd be like, we're good. So like, don't do it. People shouldn't get killed and murdered over their opinions and their ideal beliefs until it affects other people. And I think that's the biggest thing that Charlie Kirk was figuring out and trying to explain to people is like, look, I can have my opinions. Don't have and I wrote this last night in a post, my job in my life is not to fuck up as much as usual. Hopefully your fuck ups don't fuck up my fuck ups. And guess what? Sometimes the world is pretty fucked up.
So it's absolutely fucked up.
So, don't encroach and, you want to fucking dress like a furry and fuck robotic assholes with no lube and, do whatever you want. Just like Roger Stone, libertarian, do whatever the fuck you want in your bedroom. Do what the fuck you want with your money. Stay out of my money, stay out of my fucking bedroom, and everything will be fine. But everyone's
Bad Religion said it best. Do what you want, but don't do it around me. All of this anticipation creating apathy.
Exactly. So everyone's fucking encroaching like a defensive line going off sides in a football game and pointing at each other like motherfuckers and wasting their time and energy because life is too short for all this shit. There's my diatribe right now. I mean, that's it. I mean, the reality is, we still got to protect freedom of speech. Motherfuckers shouldn't be shot, even if it is 9/11 conspiracy theory, whatever it is that came to this point, because I think there's another side of this, but because if it is a conspiracy and it's pulling people apart, it's doing a really good job of it right now.
I think that people are kind of already pulled apart, and I think that you're going to get a conspiracy theory about anything that's prominent in the media, right? Like, do I think that this kid is the one that killed him? Yeah, actually, I do. Is there other people involved? Probably, because, he's a young person. He had to get his resources from somewhere. He has friends, he has people that he talked to as well, and maybe he was brainwashed, whatnot. But, even I just read an article today from Pash Patel, the FBI director, and this kid's giving up information. That his
Mhm.
DNA was found on the gun, on a towel with the gun, on the screwdriver at the place where the gun was set. So there's certainly things that link him to it. Was it all planted? I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not an extremist into conspiracy theory like that, but I also don't discount conspiracy theory either. Because you even look at COVID, there was so much that we were lied to about that came out so many years later. So I like to, you can only deal with whatever it is that you have at the
What was your
moment.
initial reaction with COVID? So I really trust, as we should, innate intelligence and wisdom, the wisdom that comes through us. My first initial reaction when Kirk got shot was not liberals versus conservatives. What I was like, this is a political assassination. When political assassinations, that's something behind the scenes that we all don't want to admit the truth on. What was your initial with COVID when the first immediate thing?
It's a microbe and the human body was designed to fight it. It's us v them. We're like, God gave us the ability to fight the microorganisms that exist in the world. When I was in school and I took microbiology and we learned about the microbiome, not only the microbiome within us, but the more vast microbiome that exists without us. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Well,
squared. I was terrified, but then I realized, you know what? Like, I was designed to fight those things, and it's like it all comes down to who's going to win, me or them. Medicine will try to make it out like, oh, you know what? I have to give you all this stuff so that you're stronger, but and like it's the virus that's going to get you. Yeah, the virus is going to get you. Something's going to get you, but it's really about like how adept are you as an individual, as a human being, to fight off that attack. That's really what it comes down to. And, evidence proved after the fact that it was the people that were not adept to fight were the ones that didn't win the fight.
I love that. My first initial reaction, much like the Kirk thing, was political theater. Because the marketing brain in me, and I think that's like people like Matt Loop and Billy DeMont, those guys are really smart marketing dudes. Like Matt is a marketing guy. Billy doesn't put himself as that, but you've got to give him credit for over the years and what he's done in this profession. He's a genius when it comes to creating community and building things. COVID was political theater. And then I went down the loop in the circle again, where it was like, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe this is really, really bad. Like when Trump was showing up and, behind the scenes, what Roger told me was that really fucked him up in the election along with his wife, because as we've shared in previous communities, business problems are personal problems in disguise. And there's all this going against Trump, but there's a point of like right now of, I think some of us on the right are questioning Trump on some things, but I thought it was political theater. I'm looking at this like it's political theater because there's always narratives before. So it's interesting to see where it goes. My ultimate question for you, because I got this over the weekend from until we get this show really going and people say, yeah, go ahead, Twisty, share my name and share my behind the scenes. Until they give me I won't say, but he'll probably listen to this and he wants me to share his name next time. Really smart dude I work with for years. He writes to me and says, I didn't really know who this guy was. I don't really seem to care. I'm too busy with my head down and I'm building my practice. And I think back to my father, who I thought when I was around my boy's age, which was 9 to 12, thought my dad was the stupidest motherfucker in the world because he didn't know anything about anything other than chiropractic. And in fact, he used to say, I adjust. That's what I do. I don't do anything. So now I think he was the stupidest motherfucker. I thought he was the laziest motherfucker because he was only like doing that. And now, years later, I'm like, oh, the dude got it. The dude understood. And I wrote back to this guy, but I want to get your take on this from multiple perspectives. I think you're in the right place, that you're doing what you need to do. You need to tune out other noise that's going to distract you from growing your business, your practice. being present with your people. I don't really think it matters in the long run or in the short run, but in the long run, it might mean more something down the road. I don't have the answer to that yet. I don't know all the answers. Do you think it's important that chiropractic is this a important moment when we tie it back to chiropractic or chiropractors, or does this matter to you?
Specifically? I mean, I don't think so because I think it's a bigger than chiropractic, frankly. It's such a
Yeah.
I think it affects so many more people. And I actually had a person that I know that runs a group called Widow Strong. She's a widow. She was actually married to a chiropractor who had sadly taken his own life many, many years ago. And she started this foundation and she started a grief recovery program that's based in faith. And she actually didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. And I thought that that was really surprising because I thought she totally would have known who he was, but it just didn't enter her world. So I think that we're exposed to things and we're not exposed to things. And it depends on, to your point, is your head down? Is it up? Or not even that as much as where's your head at?
Where's your head at? Where's your head at?
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you know that. But that's really true. Like, where is your head at? Like, some people really were in that space. They loved what Charlie was doing because he was a voice that they never felt like they could voice before. Because for so long, we're in a different mentality of like, Jesus Christ is not okay. Religion is not okay. God is not okay. It's not okay to say anything about that. It's only okay to talk about, dare I say, the complete other side of those things. And Charlie was a voice to kind of bring that into, I don't want to say the limelight, but just into our consciousness now, into the presence of conversation, which is, of course, what he was all about. And I think, honestly, not that I agree with one side over the other per se. I think it's good that we have these dualities of conversation, and that's Charlie's entire point, right? We have to be able to talk to each other. And his big thing that I loved about him was he always sought to find common ground. Like, where can we meet in the middle? Because that's really what we need a lot more of in this country, in this world, even in our profession. Where can we find common ground? Where can we meet in the middle? So at least we have some level of unity and less diversity or diversion, I should say.
Yeah, I still think Gavin Newsom's a piece of shit, though. Dude looked at my dick one day. We were doing blow in San Francisco in the bathroom,
Why are
which,
you I was
first of
gonna
all,
be like, why are you showing it to him?
which, by the way, sounds really super gay for me, but it wasn't set up to be like that. I was taking a piss. I was doing a bump. He was in there with a couple other cool people. But anyways, bigger stories in San Francisco days, and that was, dude, I worked with in San Francisco was my eye-opening moment to LGBT trans. And that's where I was like, I don't really give a fuck, dude, whatever you want. You're like, one thing that people don't realize is that to do transitions, one of my former friends, mentors, what smartest people I ever knew was a transgender dude or transgender woman. Her name was Jenny Lake, and we had a business called Avaka Wisdom Institute. And we sold that to San Francisco city government. Jenny, before when she was a dude, ran one of the largest carpet cleaning businesses in Northern California. I mean, was an absolute genius. But I'm going to say something also was also batshit fucking crazy and deemed that by the medical society, because to cut your dick off and get changed over, you got to be fucking put through the DSM-4. Like, it's diagnosed as a mental, like, hysteria and stuff like that. Speaking of politics, and I'll transition to this, and your boy, RFK. First of all, I want to ask you, well, I'll ask you this after this, but RFK is doing some good shit with the FDA. As my dad said, like, the Food and Drug Administration should be put together. That always made sense. Food and drugs.
Let food be the drug.
Right. The thing that came out, this is kind of same parallels, is like, you got to be careful what we wish for and stuff like that. They just announced new restrictions on advertising for pharmaceutical. Now, as someone who smokes and enjoys smoking, and Tucker Carlson likes to say there's still some good smokers out there and understands the adaptability of the human body. I miss old school cigarette commercials that made kids want to smoke because I still believe in capitalism. Love the chiropractic warrior in me loves that they're going to like that because it's a battle between us and big pharma. So fuck you. You don't get a competitive advantage now. The marketing capitalist in me goes, oh, shit. That's more government control, which is supposed to be the opposite of what I wish for and hope for. Again, stay out of my bedroom, stay out of my money, let people do what they want. What's your take on this? And I'm going to ask you some more stuff later on RFK, but because we didn't get to it last week.
I actually think it has a lot to do with what we kind of touched on last week when we talked about documentation and informed consent, right? Like,
Mm.
I think at this point, really, like, let people make their choices upon true facts of information and allow them to consent to it. Because I did read your article about it. And even if you labeled cigarettes as death, people are still gonna do it, right? Well, I mean, that's their choice. That's the beauty of it all. But at least it's an informed consent instead of being like, oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna be more glamorous before you do that. I mean, that's an opinion, right? It's not
Well,
a
I'm a
fact.
dude, I still people look, one thing that we lost in this my grandfather used to say when you back in the '80s, they would say smoking or not smoking. Remember that? You're too young, right?
I'm older than you are, dude.
You don't remember that?
I don't
They
remember that. Like, I might have been outside actually playing and doing stuff. I don't know. My dad was a smoker too, so
so there used to be smoking and not smoking sections in
like
the
that. Okay, I remember that.
restaurants,
I thought you were talking about on the television or something.
and my grandfather, and I'm turning into my father and grandfather wherever we go, and my wife just cringes because I can't help myself because
We all do
I
it.
do stuff like this. So they would say smoking or not smoking, and my grandfather say, "I don't mind, just don't take away my rights." And that's, the where we're going with stuff is it's always like, "You pissed me, this shit here, let's take this away, let's go there." But I love that informed consent. Now you got to hang out on a deeper level with RFK, and I want to get a vibe because I think that guy likes to fuck. Like, I think that guy, like, did he put off that vibe? Like, he likes to fuck.
I am not going to comment about that, but that is not something of a vibe that I felt like I got. I definitely think that the vibe I mostly got from him is that he is a an extremely thoughtful person who is very concerned with the population and honestly the control of the government of the population.
What I heard there is he likes to eat pussy and probably eats it really well. So, on that note,
I mean, we're hanging out with different people, and those weren't conversations that came up in the context that I existed in
if
with
I got a
him.
chance, I would have said, "Dude, you look like you like to fuck. Like, let's."
Well, if you ever run into him, I think you should ask and see what happens.
Now, of course, he likes to fuck because we he looks like a god. I mean, look, he's in great shape, awesome. He's a Kennedy, so we know he likes to fuck. Come on, that DNA runs down the fucking.
You kill me.
What is your take on his first almost year, 3/4 of a year at the head of the helm of what they put him at?
Well, I think that he's done a lot in the short time that he's had, honestly, and I think that people have unrealistic expectations of what's possible. You know, he even said to my husband at one point, it's like trying to harness the wind. It's so many things that are possible in his position, but you know what? You can only do so much at any given point of time. And I think that you have to do what you can where you're at that moment in time. And I certainly think that he has a bigger picture in mind. I remember when I was younger and I was in school and I had a friend of mine and she's like, Melissa, you've been a real bitch lately when I was in chiropractic school. So I said my name. Anyway, I was like, you know what? It's like I'm consuming Niagara Falls. I'm drowning and I can't take a moment to come up and take a breath. All I can do is continue to consume and try to sort it out and work it out. And that's just the best that I could do to survive right now. So I imagine that harnessing the wind is very similar to that. You know, he has so many things and he's made a lot of, I don't know if I want to use the word promises, but he said a lot of things that he wants to address and they're big, they're huge and he's going against a huge
Mhm.
conglomerate and the population at that. You know, there's a lot of dogma that exists in the US right now as far as ideas are concerned regarding healthcare because that's all that people have been fed for so long. And then you also look at how much money the
Mhm.
politicians are paid and how rich politicians have become being public servants that are supposed to make like $30,000 a year or something like that and they're all millionaires. You know, you look at the charts that show how much the money they're getting and where that money's coming from. A lot of that is coming from big
Mhm.
pharma, from what, the evidence shows. And they don't want to give that up. People like their money. Let's just be honest. We all like money. They're fun tokens, if you will, and they're trying to have as much fun as they can. And if it's at somebody else's expense, so what? It doesn't affect them until it starts to affect the pocketbook.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with that. I think that it's been a lesson the last couple of months in how to do politics right. I've been working all weekend on two things: my website that I'm finally going to release that is going to be badass, and I'm putting on a testimonial, like all these testimonials from people I've never really like used and leveraged my relationships. And I'm also working on my referrals, retention, and relationships workshop. And There's a testimonial I'm putting up from Patrick Bet David that he literally, said in front of 20 people while we were backstage at the last summer camp that if he ever runs for politics, he's going to hire me to help him. And, I do strategically have a superpower with building relationships and how to use them, how to be Switzerland at times, how to stand your ground and stand firm on certain things when you have to, and how to make people work together that didn't work really well together. In fact, it was one of my superpowers that made certain things happen. And then it was kind of like I let it get destroyed behind the scenes, more for the later. And everyone's loving my documentary. First of all, as I knew people would be like, that's my number one lead gen source. Documentary is marketing is fucking the shit. You got to get your documentary done. Everyone has to have a documentary. If you don't have a book, you need to have a documentary. But this back to this relationships thing in politics, we see it in our own backyard. I joked last week about how I'm headed to Mile High and I'm going to be wearing a Cartel Club shirt. And I had some people write back to me. They're like, they can't wait to see me. And I told them, well, you better wait, be careful what you wish for. But at the same time, we don't get anywhere in our profession because most people don't know how to do strategic relationships, partnerships, and politics. And I'm excited to share that, and because it's one of the highest risk things, of course, but that means it's the highest reward. And so I'm really looking. I look at what Kennedy did the last couple months, and I'm going, dude, that was a master fucking class on how to do like. That's the other thing is like he wouldn't get there without, like, obviously name clout helps and you leverage that, but the way he's done and built relationships and how he's done it has been amazing. And just chef's kiss on I love super fucking smart people that also like to fuck.
He is so freaking smart.
Yeah. So fucking smart. I thought I was being smart when I shared all the shit I was sharing last week, but my wife wants, you know, I think she was going to slice my throat the other day. I was that close to having a
I
DV
think it might
case.
have been more like being a smart ass than actually intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. But I told her, get ready, dude, get ready. I got to say she made up for it this weekend because like for 2 nights, it's hard having kids. It's hard having fucking kids, and it's hard having you building stuff and you're working on stuff. So you have these incremental times when you're like, let's do something fun and play. And I was like so horny for my wife this weekend, and I was so in love I'm more in love with her every day and every next day. And, it's like every day is a new day, but also I was getting so pissed at her because we couldn't find a time. And I was like, I'm going to talk about this on my show. I'm going to fucking tell you how you ruined my fucking weekend. And then she came through.
That's mean.
Yeah, no, it's mean because I'm a bully. We talked about that last week. Like, I'm not really a bully to her. You know what she says? I'm like, here's another secret thing behind the scenes. I'm actually like Regina from Mean Girls sometimes. If you ever remember that scene where she's right, you
I never seen Mean
fugly.
Girls.
Yeah, I'm a mean girl. Like there's a 14-year-old girl like inside of me that is just, I can say the meanest, sharpest bombs and let it just sink in. And like 3 months later, my ex-wife, when she cheated on me with this dude that she went to high school with or something like that. Some fucking loser that was on federal prison probation, whatever. And I hooked up with her best friend over that summer. So it was like this really weird summer for me in my 20s. And I also called the federal U.S. Marshals and said, this motherfucker's playing my Xbox. You can pick him up at my apartment on Prosper Street in San Francisco. So they picked him up and they sent him to prison and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. Years later, I mean, I had been messaging and writing this dude. Years later, he got out or whatever, and he was going to be with my wife or my ex-wife at the time, whatever. It actually took years for us to get divorced. But anyways, they were going to live happily ever after. Well, he committed suicide. And I think it was some of the imprints I left in my messaging that led to that because people don't. I used to work with this dude and everyone would be like, don't fuck with the bear. And I'd be like, well, that's cool. Wait till you fuck with the whale. Because I see you sit back and you just let people go. And I sat back for years, Melba, on this. People don't realize this with the breakup with Black Diamond Club. It was 2.5 years in the making because motherfucker said to me one day, he would crush my nuts. He said to me, this is in my book coming out, so I'll just share this. Motherfucker said he crushed my nuts on a phone call in front of my wife at the time. And I let that sit and stew for 2.5 years. And I watched $5.5 million go to $1 million in 6 months. You can fuck with a bear all you want. You don't fuck with a whale. On that note.
Well, to end on that one, honestly, I love this question. Even when it comes to being a bully, planting seeds to the point that somebody ended up ending their own life potentially because of the things that you had said to them, which is terrible. How does that serve you?
I'm okay with it till still to this day. I mean, I'm okay. And maybe I have some healing to do and I need to talk to Jesus more. I mean, that was my weekend in church. There are times I come out of church and I'm so angry and I'm so like, but what this and but what that. And I don't think we should be like, these are lessons, but I'm also, oh my God, my obedience and my discipline and other things this weekend coming out of that was it was so great to see so many people. Look, just like Tucker Max said it at summer camp when I had him speak and Tucker said, he wasn't really a fan of chiropractic. He didn't really understand. He goes, even if it's a placebo, even if we don't understand how it works and it's helping people, that's all that fucking matters. And I look at that this weekend with churches like, holy shit, this guy died. And what it did was it brought so many people there. And maybe it's saving someone who is an alcoholic who's now not, now going to have the accountability and the community and the connection. So I'm still a work in progress. Obviously, I'm fucking
We
twisted.
all are.
But at the same time, it doesn't serve to answer your question. It only serves you till it serves you and then it's done serving you, right? Like there's chapters that have to close and you have to evolve. You can't be the same. Now, if that happened today, first of all, it wouldn't happen today because I'm with a wife that I manifested and created out of abundance, not out of pain and not out of suffering, which is what I created in my first marriage, which was, I believe everything that you create is what you want to put out. So I'm very blessed and lucky because I put myself as blessed and lucky and I have the right family and partnership. My first wife, we were getting heroin bags on the weekend and snorting up heroin together. And that was our connection. So, Kat is fucking amazing. So it wouldn't happen. But if it did, I probably would come from that place of forgiveness and love and, move on though still and stuff like that. But I probably wouldn't have, plant the seeds for someone to kill themselves,
Well, I'm glad
but
to hear that, Tristan.
thank you, dude.
You know what the best part about living in the South is?
What?
Only Jesus was perfect,
Yeah.
and it allows us the opportunity to recognize that we're not.
You are in the Bible Belt, right? Obviously, and we've joked behind the scenes that you can't, say certain things like even damn
Oh, I
down
totally
there.
say things like that, though. I'm like, whatever, like, you make mistakes. I mean, only Jesus was perfect, and only people in the South really get that, or people that are, dare I say, really into Jesus,
Yeah.
because where I grew up, that wasn't a thing at all, and I see that the tides obviously are changing even more robustly now that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated, but that tide was coming while he was alive, too, that was his
Yeah.
goal. And it's weird. I was an atheist until I went to chiropractic school. And for certain things that happened, it brought me to Jesus. And I always knew when I was being touched because I would get goosebumps. And every time for the first week that I saw anything or heard anything or read anything about Kirk, I totally got goosebumps every single time. It was weird. So like that's for me at least, anyways. That's where I feel like there's some level of connection going on. So I know that he was a messenger.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, maybe just like Jesus' life had to be taken for more people to want to move into that space, maybe it's very similar for him that his life needed to be taken so that more people could move into that space.
Oh, he definitely was a messenger and and I think you're absolutely that's what I felt after this weekend in church, that it's a cliche, but a lot of great came out of that, and if you believe in eternal life, you understand like what the next levels are. So it's not a sad thing. It's sad for the body and all this. And I think big lessons that people can learn. I think I'm so glad some people are getting the people that didn't even know who he was now being exposed to his content. One thing I would encourage people to look at that is look at how he did it, which is he did it through great sales. He was a great salesman because he did it through great questions. He's a great teacher in how you have conversations with people to not to play got you. And there was a little bit of condescending, like, look, no one's perfect. Again, like there's things that come through and there's a little prickish thing and stuff like that. And things that, you could go, okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, a great salesman's not supposed to be likable. A great salesman's supposed to get you to move from one side to undecided, and then you decide and own that other thing. And I think that was big lessons watching his content more this week. I used to consume his content more in the algorithm more than just seeking it out. But that's what I told my brother-in-law who is conservative, who is Christian, my sister-in-law grew up in that liberal victim mindset household where everyone, like it's just sad to me. It's a sad vibration. And I told him, I said, the thing is, Kat's changed because she's not poor anymore. She's not poor as a state of mind. Like that's what my grandfather taught us, is poor is a state of mind. It's not about you're rich in abundance with everything. Even when even when I told this story in my documentary, when I bought dinner for a whole table, when I had $800 in my bank account, it was $900 in my bank account, and it was $800 dinner. Is you just do rich things even when you're not rich, because you are rich. You hang out with people that think differently and have uh more than you at times. Now that I have more, I like to go hang out back with the creatures and the preachers and the seekers of the night. So now I go backwards and I have to go hang out with more of those people and do the things with them. But that changes everything, is who you surround yourself around. And there was a point this weekend where I was like, because my wife is super, actually, when she gets into this, she gets super passionate and like into it. I'm like, she fights and I'm like, well, now no, like, hold on, watch
She's
out for your own,
feisty.
now watch out for your own righteousness here. Let's not get like, look, if these people agree, they can say whatever the fuck they want to say. That's what I think the beauty of this country is about, and then it's up for everyone else to decide, is that retarded or not.
Well, I think, while freedom of speech is absolutely a beautiful thing, I think that what a lot of people also don't realize is that once said, it can't be unsaid, and there are consequences to every action.
Yeah. Well, for nostalgic reasons, that's an interesting thing, because I'm gonna leave on this note, because I want to end on some business stuff and promote my shit, retention, referrals, and relationship mastermind. Because
Quit.
because here's the thing that's pissing me off about one. First of all, I think reactivations are bullshit, and I've said this for years. The fact that and one of my peeps, who I
People
work with,
left for a reason.
yeah, people left, then let them fucking go. And in fact,
Exactly.
I'm going to teach in
I
my
don't do
program, like, saying, yeah, just
reactivations.
fucking move the fuck on. And if they come back, cool,
Yep.
let them. I actually believe
Yep,
in, like,
exactly.
but I see so much business built on that, because just like Facebook ads, it's like one of those things that chiros want the easy way, and reactivations like, well, they were already there. Why don't I just click a button with an email and get them back? Yes, you can do that. But the real art and mastery is retention, referrals, and relationships. But it's work, so people don't want to put in the work. And the problem is that the ones that you see that are most successful out there have done things that are not scalable. Like, relationships aren't fucking scalable. I'm just gonna say that. That's not that's hidden thing in business. It's
Are
not
you
fucking.
referencing something?
Which would tell me more. I don't know which one.
Well, wasn't there somebody that you knew once that tried to scale themselves based on the relationships that
Well,
they had?
relationship cat. Well, what he said was fucking. I mean,
I'm just trying to make jokes.
I love it. And transactional relation acquaintances is what I like to call it. And I think that actually, what's funny is I was the guy with the relationships. They actually acquired me because I had the relationships, and because I'm actually a relationship architect. I'm not a relationship capitalist. And you can find wins together with everything. But I think reactivations are stupid. Really, 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 really want people to and
I mean, reactivations, if you think about it like this, seriously, just thought of this, it's like getting back together with an ex. There's a reason you broke
exactly,
up.
dude. Exactly. Now, the reason that you sparked me for this was because you said something really, what you put out there and what you say it's said. There is always the art of the apology. Now, there are some brands back in, because I did some research on this over the weekend for the program, because I think reactivations are stupid. For the most part, if you look at any company that AOL, Subaru, through the history of time, ran what we call customer win back campaigns, and they never fucking worked. The only customer win back campaigns that have ever worked historically, you guys can look this up and research this, is when you apologize. So Cracker Barrel is going to win back big, and they are on the track of that. Coca-Cola in the 80s, when they switched their product and everyone got pissed off, they let in with, we're sorry, we fucked up. And that's the only thing. This is why I've been pushing this motherfucker and still striking and hitting this motherfucker online. And everyone who sends me the screenshots, I went to Florida Chiropractic Society. Everyone's like, or associate, everyone's like, dude, you crack me up with screenshot and send this to everyone. I'm doing it because you only got two options out there, motherfucker. And I know you're listening, because you listen to every fucking thing I do. You can apologize, and there's your comeback. You can tell people you said you fucked them over and you made them take PPL money and EDL money and use it illegally. Or you can shut the fuck up and move on. That's it. The only way you can reactivate someone, I believe, a true win back of a client, customer, patient, whatever, is when you say, I'm sorry. This is another thing I tell people, when people are like, my dad always used the term, my dad's such a genius with this, and he's a genius because he literally grew up in the Parker system, which is all about, this is all Parker, is love and service, is let them move on. But you also are the authority, I'm the asshole. I always joke about this, and Kat said it this week. She goes, "What you're gonna say you want to divorce me on Sunday or Monday?" Because I was all lit up on Friday and Saturday, and she knows my patterns and shit like that. Because I'm stupid Regina, Mean Girls, and I say mean shit when I get mad. In my way, I'm still the 8-year-old boy who runs away with the bag on us and goes sits across the street waiting for someone to come chase me back. I said, no, I'm getting better at this. But I think that the reality is, you can tell your people no. I had this one client who was really, really struggling with, like, he had a hype, and he had an old school, like, East Parker, like my dad's fucking PVA, 500, over 500. And he's like, people are starting to leave me now because of the economy and stuff. And I said, did you ever think to just tell them no? He's like, what do you mean? Like, tell them you think it's stupid. Like, be like House with them. If you guys remember that show House, like, you are the authority, you are the expert. Sometimes people are trying to wiggle out because they need someone to fucking put them in their place. Trust me, I'm the motherfucker who does that with my wife all the time.
Sounds like an abusive relationship to me, though.
Stop it. It's only
I'm not talking
abusive.
about you and your wife. I'm just saying in general. Like, just thinking about what you're saying, like, I don't know. Like, if we're still going to talk about, exes and whatever, like, if somebody makes a decision and then somebody coerces them back, like, I understand what you're saying about being the expert and this and that. Like, I think that you can have a conversation with somebody and try
Oh,
to
no,
get
I'm
on
saying you
their
can leave
page
it.
about it. But at the
Let them.
same time,
Yeah, let them know you're like, I'll tell you this. I had an example. I won't mention names, but a client that I built up into, I mean, she built her a big book of business, launched her in the space, came to me a couple years ago. I was coaching her, and, something happened in her business, and she goes, I need to stop working with you, And so she looked at me as a cost, not an investment. And I said, I'm sorry I let you down, because if I'd done right by you, the first thing should be, you're coming to me to see how we make money faster and how I help you do that. Number two, you looked at me as a cost on investment. So I obviously have been letting you down for the last couple months or wherever you're at. But I also think that knowing that what you just told me and why you want to leave, that is the wrong time to want to leave me. And this is the time we should pull up. But anyways, I'm going to let you go. Cool. 2 days later, she comes back and she goes, no, let's rock and roll. Let's
I know
get
who
back
you're
on.
talking about.
Yeah. So, like, but that's what I'm saying is, I don't think that's I think that's tough love. As my grandparents taught my dad and my dad taught me, you have to love your people. But sometimes loving's not like, it's
Come from
tough
a place
love.
of caring.
Yes. That's all I'm saying. We all fall victim to our thoughts, which becomes our beliefs and becomes our systems and reality. Right. And, in that moment, it's always fear, and when I have my moments where I act like Tristina, the 14-year-old little bitch who says, mean things, it's coming from a place of fear, because I am only human, right? Like I am.
Totally
And
gonna call you that now.
it's the truth about who the fuck I am. And now is the whole point of me not holding back anymore. Look, I'm a genius on multiple levels, but I'm still the asshole who snorts stuff up his nose just to see what it does. Right? So on that note, we'll leave for what's your big thing for this week? What are you going anywhere? You're traveling? You staying home?
Well, I did actually just get back from New Jersey again this week, and I went to a TLC event, which was actually really awesome. And this week, Life University Fall CE is happening, and
Oh,
Del
that's right.
Bigtree,
You got
Del
to go.
Bigtree is opening it up on Thursday, so it's going to be a great experience as it always is.
Will you please hook up with Austin Cohen? So Austin sent me he sent me
Will I
messages.
connect with him?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. And
I will not hook up with him though.
dude, Austin is in great shape though. He could probably go for hours. So let's just. So Austin was sending me messages after the Braves game on last week, and he's sending me back messages how much he's loving this and where we're going with this. So shout out, Austin's got a great podcast.
Austin is great.
The
I like
Austin
Austin a
Cohen
lot.
podcast. He's a smart motherfucker too. He's another just
And he's
really.
very good looking.
He's a very handsome dude. He's a very handsome dude. He's got that jawline me and Dan Bay are jealous of. So
He looks like someone that you don't like though, and he doesn't like that.
oh, he does look like Newsom a little bit.
I know. I told him that once, and I thought that he hated me after that.
I mean, I can see how Newsom again is it. Like,
It's
look,
crazy, right? They kind of have similar hair.
Newsom could probably charm this socks off of anyone, which he does, and that's why Clinton was where Clinton was. As much as people don't like Biden, the Biden from the he's a was a charming motherfucker. There's a charisma to these motherfuckers. That's why they get to where they get to. That the ones that are evil on the wrong side. Obama, another one of those that could fucking like charisma the fuck out of people. George W. Bush couldn't charisma the fuck out of anything, you know? But anyways, all right, I'm off to Rochester this week for an on-site. Gonna hang out with my man John, Dr. John, and we'll be back next week. And hopefully this is even better for you guys. And you're like, think this is crazy fun. So thanks for jamming today, dude. Bye, guys.